Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Joni Misiak. Today, let's talk about getting to know yourself better. First off, a loving reminder that it is a journey. It is like any relationship in our lives. It is meant to be nurtured and grow and develop. Sometimes there'll be, frustrations and, emotions come up. And you might always, agree with yourself, but you grow and you learn and you keep learning more about yourself. It's also important to remind yourself that's how important it is to put in the work. And I don't really want to use the word work, but putting in the time. If you're not allowing yourself to have any time to just hang out, get to know yourself better, understand what makes you tick, what makes you explode, what do you want? What do you need? You won't be able to answer any of those questions, right? I've learned throughout my life that, there's so many layers here and we're going to get into so many of them. But if we don't slow down, you won't become aware of what you need. Let's say this again. Slow it down, slow your roll. Make time for you. And now that might seem frustrating and hard. However, you're listening to this podcast right now and you're doing something for you. So that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, when we hang out with ourselves, like this is a really good example of taking care of you. You're listening to something. However, it's about doing the work or like putting in the time, right? It's hitting the stop button after this episode and then journaling or talking to yourself or thinking about things. When emotions come up, they're telling us something. When, things happen, like if you have a trigger moment, like somebody triggers you and you explode, it's telling you something. Now, I've been on my self-love journey for well over a decade, like over 14 years now. And first off, I don't have a perfect relationship with myself. There's no such thing. It's just about constant growth. And in fact, I was actually having a conversation with my friend just the other day, yesterday actually, and I was sharing about like moments in, my early 20s and just different moments that I'm not proud of, but they happened. And I can look at them without having any emotion from them, but learn from them. And I can look back and go, wow, I've come a long way. Like if that happened again in my life, I would have done it differently. Like if that event would happen now, I would handle it in a different way. And to me, that was a very empowering moment, realizing how far I've come. Now, again, I've said I'm not perfect. And I have moments that still come up today. And I'm like, oh, I could have handled that differently. But the big thing is awareness that I could have handled it differently in the first place. Because we can go throughout life and just think that's normal or that that's just going to be our way of things. It's being like, wait, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to show up like this. So what do I want instead? And sometimes the easiest thing to do is figuring out what you don't want so you can figure out what you do want. So writing down the things that bother you that you don't want in your life. And then, on the other side of the paper, figure out what it is that's the opposite of that or what you would like instead of that. It's not always great. I'm not a big fan of living in the negative. However, sometimes that is the easiest place to start to change things. And then you can grow and change and things like that. Now, the other thing I'd like to talk into today is healing. We can listen to this podcast, right? We can read books. We can listen to amazing, inspiring, and motivating things on YouTube or wherever. We can fill our days with positivity. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's amazing. You can start your day with, a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and listen to something inspiring, like my podcast. However, if we do, that's the surface things. That's like, your home's falling apart and you're like, okay, I'll just paint it with, like, I'll just repaint it. No big deal. Just paint over it. It's the surface things, right? We have to go deeper than the surface to really connect to who we are. You might not like hearing that. You might not like hearing that there's more to do. It's rolling up your sleeves and actually doing the work. I applaud you for listening, for being here. It's an amazing, amazing step. And I say this with so much love because I spent a lot of time just listening to things too. But my biggest change came when I rolled up my sleeves and I got dirty, deep down dirty in all the messy stuff and started healing. Was it pretty? No. But I grew so much. Now, I'm not saying you have to, spend months and months and months healing. In fact, I felt that really, I personally felt really exhausted doing that. And I was like, I have to work on myself forever. This is exhausting. It's not like that. You can do some work and then enjoy life and just enjoy your process and your progress. The thing is, though, the more you learn what tools to use, you get more tools in your toolbox of how to work through triggers, how to figure out why this emotion has come up. The more aware you are when something happens, and then you can go, whoa, I need to hit the pause button, take a step back and evaluate what's going on here and just feel it out and figure it out. For example, I want to take, my trip has been a while ago now from Hawaii. However, if I was a person I was 10 years ago, I would have planned this trip a lot different. First off, I would have listened to how other people did their trips and then probably base it on that and plan it that way. People, share different things that they do and see and that they, saw things like left, right, and center. And then I have, a friend that she just likes to just go and see what happens. And I had to do what was right for my family and I. And I remember we sat down and okay, what do we want to get out of this trip? And then I planned things, not everything. I like spontaneity as well. But for me personally, I know if I don't plan something, we'll just sit around and lounge around and do absolutely nothing and see nothing, right? So we planned some few fun things that we really wanted to do, the things that said, hey, we want to get out of this trip. And then I also know personally that I can't go on a trip. I will have a mental breakdown, completely lose it, and then I'll waste some time. I also know that my kids operate they need some downtime too. We can go full speed for a little bit, then bring it on down. Now, was our trip perfect? Heck no. But it was a lot better than other trips I've had where I didn't know myself enough and how I travel. So this is just an example of me knowing myself enough traveling. I haven't even traveled that much. And this was the first time I was traveling with my family, my kids, other than moving here to British Columbia from Ontario. So it was a fun experience to see. Now there was something that happened. My oldest got a little bit of heat stroke, and on top of that, it kind of triggered their motion sickness. So it was one day, and we had to reevaluate things. So we've learned a lot from that, but it was one day, and it was just it's just understanding who you are, so you can make decisions based on you. And then obviously, if you have a family like me where you're traveling, you kind of want to, include everybody else. But once you know who you are, even better than you did today, the more you get to know yourself, the more you can take care of you on the level you need. So I also know that I need a lot of alone time. A lot. Sometimes I don't get enough because I need a lot. But I also love being social. And I love giving and helping people. So it's filling all those buckets, right? I need to fill my me bucket and alone time where I can just have the house to myself and just breathe and have, just hear my own thoughts for a while. But then I also love being social and getting out with friends and having a good time. and spending time with my kids and my husband. So it's knowing the things you need and want, and then figuring out what that is. And then as life goes on and things change and you grow, things might change. Like for you, you might need something different, or you realize even more of what you need. Like, oh, I need more of this or less of this, you know? So the more you get to know yourself, the better you can make decisions for yourself. Okay? The more you get to know yourself, the better decisions you can make for yourself. And that also helps set healthy boundaries, right? Because if you don't know what you want, you don't know what you need, how are you supposed to let anybody else in your life know what you want or what you need? So it's getting to know yourself on a deeper, more awesome level. And again, that takes time. It's not going to happen overnight where you like instantly know exactly who you are. But one step at a time, one day, 1 week, 1 month at a time, 1 year at a time, and you'll slowly understand more and more about yourself. And again, it really is about slowing down enough to allow yourself to have that relationship with yourself, because you need to allow the time, or you need to, put in that time with yourself. I have relationships with friends that, like the moment I see them, it could be years and all of a sudden it feels like it was just yesterday. But we still need to nourish relationships, especially like think about, your closest relationships. You're probably having a conversation with them fairly regularly. And if you're not having a conversation with yourself, then, you're not giving yourself that time of day to get to know yourself better. And like I said, the biggest turning point for me, after just realizing that I needed to take time for me, the other one was doing some healing. I didn't even know that I needed to do that until I took the course to become an empowerment coach. So a rundown of what, I'm going to back it up to where, it's about getting to know yourself better, right? So first things first, slow down, slow your roll, take a deep breath, and allow space for you to grow and to get to know yourself better. And then start digging a little deeper and becoming more aware of what you're doing. What are your actions? Are you avoiding time with yourself? No blame, no shame. Just be aware, be mindful. Would you rather watch TV than take time for you to just be quiet? Does there always have to be something going on? Are you always distracting yourself? Be honest with yourself. And that's where it starts, being honest. If you can't be honest with yourself, then how are you ever going to change or grow as a being? And I say this again with so much love, because when I went through the course to be an empowerment coach, I did some deep diving healing. It was pretty intense. And I actually went to a retreat, and I shared the story before, but I want to share it again because it's a moment in time that was so powerful for me. My mentor, was holding a retreat, and I went, and she literally flat out called me out on my crap and, said I was in denial. I didn't even know I was lying. I went there thinking I was at my best self. I'm empowered. I'm ready to help other people. And I was ready to help other people, but I still needed to do a lot of work. I was still hurting under the surface quite a bit from different aspects of my life. And I needed to stop pretending to do the assignments. I did them, but I wasn't fully immersing myself in them. And that's what I say about, getting dirty, rolling up your sleeves, doing the work, putting in the time and the real work. Because pretending to do something isn't going to hurt anybody but yourself. Lying to yourself is only going to really hurt you. I'm sure other people around you will feel it too, but it's being honest with yourself. And it can be really hard. And a part of what got me to that moment of being empowered or thinking I was being empowered is I first started out on my self-love journey listening to, fake it till you make it. Pretend to be happy and then you'll be happy. Well, that kind of backfired in my world, and I'm not a big believer in, all that. Like, there's definitely good points to being positive, right? I think positive thoughts, affirmations, and fun things like that. The thing is, if we don't actually look at what's going on under the surface, why are these emotions coming up? Why are you getting triggered when somebody says this or does this? It doesn't really get healed, and you don't get to figure it out, right? Like, so think of it as a mystery, like you're a detective. I love mysteries and watching mystery movies and shows and reading cozy mysteries. Anyways, you could pretend to be a detective. Be like, oh, why am I angry at this person? Or why, do I not want to be around this person? Or why do I feel like I have my guard up every time I see this person? Like, whatever it is for you, it's looking at that and realizing like, oh, there's something here. Now it's all about growing as a person. It's not about blaming the other person or things like that. And maybe there is like some stuff that needs to go on there, some boundary setting. However, people teach us where we need to heal. Okay? That's what it comes down to. So you can be mad at that person, but people teach us what we need to heal. And it can be hard, but it's so worth it. Like, when I look back, and I still have lots of things to unpack myself. The thing is, though, the more you get to know yourself, one, the easier it is to come back from something. Two, like, then you'll have tools. Be like, okay, I need this right now. There's been times where I'm like, I'll be going. I'm like, whoa, I need like a break. I, have learned that I need to set healthy boundaries with myself. It really starts with that, and then other people in my life. And I'm fairly good at it. But again, sometimes, I get so excited and I put more on my plate than I really can handle. And then I have to go back, reevaluate, and then drop some things. And as a mom, it can definitely be challenging when it's like, well, I want my kids, to be able to do the things that they want to do. And it's figuring out how it can work and what we can do as a family and what we can't. So sometimes, so it's getting to know yourself first, so then you can include other people in your plans and balance, life, because life is constantly moving and changing and busy. So it's just slowing down enough to hear your own thoughts, to hear your own needs, and to hear your own wants and dreams and things like that, so you can take care of you. So you can take care of others and support them in their life as well. Because, this is an old saying, but it's a goodie. You can't pour from an empty cup. So take care of you first. And that starts with getting to know yourself first, so you know the things that you need, right? Because this is getting longer, but I'm just going to put in a little snippet here because it just came to my mind. You can see lots of things online about self-love and self-care. Big one about self-care is like, do lots of things for you. The thing is, the more you get to know yourself, the more you can pick the activities that you truly need instead of just filling yourself up with things that people tell you need. For example, when my kids were really little, I would always make sure that Fridays I would put like a mud mask on or a different mask, and I'd take time for me. I'd have a shower, and I took like an hour for myself on a Friday, I think, usually. And that was great. It was super, super good. However, it's not the only kind of self-care I needed. I needed to get out with other people and have conversations with adults. And, just get out and get dressed up and things like that. So it's really figuring out who you are so you can really, really laser in and give yourself the things you truly need. I hope this has helped. And just again, remember, one step at a time. This is a journey. The relationship with yourself is going to be the longest relationship you have in your life. It's you. You are constant. You are the constant person in your life. People are going to come and go. They're going to have, beautiful moments in your life. But you are the one that, from start to finish, it's you. And there's going to be beautiful, beautiful people showing up. So just, try not to shy away from you and the relationship with you, and just take it one step at a time. Maybe just give yourself a hug right now. Or, just allow yourself to sit for 5 minutes and just see what shows up on your thoughts. Like maybe you're really frustrated with me right now, saying like, slow down. What came up for you with this episode? Did you get triggered? Be honest with yourself. And maybe even that triggered you. Please be open and honest with yourself, because you're only hurting yourself with this process. And remember, you can do the outer stuff, but don't forget about the inner stuff and listen to your heart. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you so much for being here and for listening today. I want to hear your thoughts. If something has, you had an aha moment or you want to share something, please reach out to me. You can contact me on my website under Contact Me, and it's jodymisiak.com. And, join our loving community. There's a place for you there. And, you don't have to go this alone. And just sending you so much, so much love. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.